Hi everyone, this is audap. Let's check out Destiny's Princess, a war story, a love story on Nintendo Switch. Now I've been covering a fair number of these visual novels recently. This one, the target audience is women. Now, I don't know if it's young women or older women. We won't find out until we start playing. Hopefully, people won't have a problem with this game like they do with The Fox Awaits Me. I originally was going to do Pub Encounter, but in that game, it is a young woman romancing older men. And she's like 21 or something in that game. But in that game, she actually does have sex. The game doesn't depict anything graphic, you see like maybe a bra or something like that. But I imagine if somebody has a hard time with The Fox Awaits Me, or it's eternal beings talking about sex and never actually having it. I imagine whoever that person is going to go ballistic over adults actually engaging in adult activity that is aimed for adults. So we'll see what this is like, what the reaction is for folks out there. And if you like it, great. If not, we won't continue. It'll be weird for me, of course, because I'm not the target audience. But I do like a really well-told story, regardless. So let's see what happens. We'll go ahead and leave the name Saya. Okay, please begin with the prologue. I think one of the other problems I had with Pub Encounter is that some of the relationships were, not strictly S&M, but they sort of had a domination theme, and to me, that's always something that like a man writes. That's more of a male fantasy than a female fantasy. Although I am aware of the popular media out there where, like Twilight and Shades of Grey, where it is a primarily female audience, and that's one of those things that people like to explore. That's why I'm trying to find visual novels, if the target is women, that are actually written by women. And if the target's men, then it can go either way. But that way, it's like sometimes when you read something being written, you can definitely tell it's not written by the target audience, the female. It's written by a male, and it's like, well, I don't know if that is necessarily the great venue. Not in today's climate, certainly. And there's so many women authors out there. It seems silly to have a man write it from a woman's perspective, unless it's for kind of specific sort of scenarios, or I don't know. But let's see what this one's like. Never know. In a castle near the coast in the Kyogoku region, on the outskirts of the capital. Vermilion. A sea of vermilion that stretches so far that one might go mad just by looking at it. Do I have options? That is some screen text. Text speed. Fastest, please. On speed. Autoplay is normal, sure. Fast forward. Red sentences only. Yep, that sounds good. Okay. Rough breathing and the sound of gushing blood, roaring like an open sea, echoed in my mind. Ah! I screamed inside my head. My voice wouldn't come out because my throat was dry. Why did this happen? Vermilion, the color of fire, and the color of the blood staining my vassals and loved ones. A demon appears out of nowhere, and I was on guard. The demon howled. He reached his arm out to me. It was as thick as a haystack. The vermilion splattered on his body must have been someone else's blood. Stay away! I squeezed out some hoarse words. I stumbled and reached for the door. My kimono got caught, and I tumbled onto the floor. He showed me his yellow teeth as he laughed. He was like a predator in front of his prey. My kimono was caught in his claws. Another demon slowly came up from behind the first. Now there were two. There was a sea of fire downstairs. My mother helped me escape, but I saw her ripped to shreds. I was the only one left. I searched for a way out, but when I looked behind me, I gasped in shock. I had meant to run away aimlessly, but before I knew it, I was in my father's room. Behind me, there was a sheathed dagger sitting on the sword stand. Holy crap, wow, that is loud-ass music. Well, yeah, let's turn that down just a bit, shall we? Ooh, oh, boy, that was killing my ears. There was a red jewel embedded in it. It was short enough that anyone could wield it. It was an unknown treasure handed down in my family for generations. Ever since I was young, I was told not to touch the dagger unless my life was in danger. I won't die here. I took off the outer layer of my formal kimono and crawled towards the dagger. I took it in my hands. I won't be killed by the likes of a demon. They stole the lives of my father, brother, and even my vassals. They all protected me while I tried to escape. The demons walked toward me, seemingly unconcerned with the carnage around them. It was hot. The flames that scorched the castle would soon consume me as well. With trembling hands, I unsheathed the dagger and gripped it tightly. The demons were sneering as they leaned down and reached for me. I got a whiff of their rotten smell and then the thick smell of blood. I had to kill them. However, my hand was shivering. Smoke was seeping in from the cracks in the floor. I couldn't die here. I wouldn't allow myself to die. I couldn't lose my life after everyone sacrificed theirs. But what can I do by myself? All my loved ones had left this world. What could I do alone? The demon's claws struck my chest. Am I going to die? I didn't feel any pain. I just felt an impact and saw a splash of vermilion. I was holding the dagger, but my hands were cold. Something warm dripped onto them. Was I going to die? All alone? Do you want help? Please, someone. Do you want help? Yes. Do you want to be saved? I want to be saved. Daddy, what is this? Oh, this? It's a family heirloom, my little princess. Heirloom? I heard one of our ancestors won it long ago in a duel with someone from the Rokaku clan. By the way, they say a frightening demon lives inside this blade. What? A demon inside? It's an heirloom even though there's a demon inside? Yep. You see, the demon will grant you one wish when you're in a time of need. It can grant any wish? Of course. It'll grant anything you want. At least that's what I was told. That's so cool! Then I want to eat my fill of dumplings. I'd rather have roasted rice cakes, peaches, and melons too. Come now, this blade can't be used for so frivolously. It's an heirloom after all. Why can't we use it? In exchange for granting your wish, the demon will steal something important from you. So listen closely, princess. Only take this blade when you think there's no other solution to your problem. You must never forget this. A dream from long ago. It was an episode from our childhood. It was a peaceful dream. Did I die? I must be in limbo. That was where the dead went first. There was a dim and slowly warm light. I couldn't tell where it was coming from. One part was white. I saw a shadow in the wavering fog before me. A child? No, that's a ghoul. Shadow looked like ghouls I had seen in paintings of the underworld. He had a big belly, but his hands and feet were just skin and bones. He happily moved his hands and feet. He was dancing like the commoners during a festival. From here, I couldn't tell if it was male or female. Its voice sounded strangely like a mix between both genders. Delicious. Delicious. Your blood is quite sweet. Sweet nectar. Sweet nectar. What are you? The small demon let out a high-pitched laugh. You know quite well what I am. How about it? I'll grant you a wish for the sweet, sweet blood you gave me. A wish? Then you're the demon inside the... Here, have a peek. I saw a castle. My castle. It was burning in the night sky, on the edge of falling apart. The stone wall, the castle keep, and the castle tower. The beautiful ancient architecture was now fading. I can grant your wish. The small demon's high-pitched laugh reverberated. I suddenly lost consciousness. Hey. Hey, Saya. When I opened my eyes, I saw a man propping me up. He looked so happy. She's up. After hearing that, someone else started to stare at me. Please relax. Your wound is shallow. I didn't know this man either. What in the world happened here? It looks like the work of demons, but where are the demons that did this? Who are you? The two men looked at each other. Hey, what's wrong? It's me, Yukimura. Have you forgotten your own brother's face? Huh? I was puzzled, then I let out a sigh. Oh yeah, that was right. He was Yukimura, my twin brother, but... What's going on? He was my brother, but he was different. He wasn't the brother from my memories. Saya! What was going on? I couldn't remember my brother's face or his name. I remembered how he always followed me around, but I couldn't remember anything else about him. My head hurt. I knew it wasn't him. I knew he wasn't my brother. It just didn't feel right. Not to mention this place. The castle. Didn't it burn down? It was attacked by demons, but where did they disappear to? I'll make your wish come true. Does that mean that wasn't a dream? Did my wish really come true? The princess must be tired. She is injured after all. A man with an eye patch stared at me with worry on his face. His name was Masamune. Right, he was one of my vassals. I rarely ever talked to him, but he was friends with Yukimura. They acted like brothers. However, it wasn't the Masamune I was familiar with. I thought it was just a scratch, but does it hurt? Do you want to get some rest? Oh, right. You should get changed and take some medicine first. Jeez. Yukimura looked pretty flustered. I don't know where all the medicine or your clothes are. It's a pain not having any female servants. Hanbei, do you know where those things are? No. The person named Hanbei became silent. It was like he was stuck in thought. He then started to stare at me. His cold gaze. Oh, I remember. He was my fiancé. We grew up together and promised to get married. But he was different. The man I remembered had much gentler eyes. His face and voice and his name. I tried to remember, but I couldn't. I knew he was different, but it felt like my head was full of haze. More importantly, everyone was supposed to have died. My brother and the vassal, who was like a brother to him, both died fighting the demons. During the fight, my fiancé was ill and drew his last breath. In exchange for granting your wish, the demon will steal something important from you. Is that what's going on? These strangers swapped places in the people that died. Had my memories been changed? They probably weren't aware that they swapped places either. My body started to shiver. Instinctively, I shook off Yukimura's hand when he put it on my forehead. Oh. Yukimura looked hurt. He began to sulk and avert his eyes from me. You started shivering, so I thought you might have a fever. He didn't seem like a bad guy. He was a little childish and easy to get along with. He was like my actual brother. I'm sorry. I was a little surprised, that's all. I apologized, and he smiled. That's good. You are tired, after all. The demons surrounding the castle haven't made their move, so get some rest while you can. I'll find the demon that attacked you and exterminate him myself. Yeah, I nodded, then realized something important. Father. Where's Father? If all these people swapped places with my loved ones, I was sure Father did as well. I heard someone reply to me from behind us. He had a low, resonant voice. I'm here. I didn't notice it before, but there was a strange air in this place. It felt like there was a tiger standing behind me. I turned around and my father was sitting down, calmly, resting his chin on his hands. I knew him. He was Nobunaga. He descended into this land as my father. He was completely different from the kind of father in my memories. His sharp gaze looked like it could see through everything. He stared me down without restraint. He suddenly smirked and stood up. Father, how are you? It's so boring waiting here silently. Why don't we play with the demons outside for a bit? You're not planning on going out this late, are you? Or this late at night, are you? Is there a problem? What are you saying? Yukimura was flared up, but Hanbei stopped him. With all due respect, Lord Nobunaga, the troops are exhausted. I believe it would be better to stay inside tonight and wait until morning to attack. We're against demons, Hanbei. Do you really think they'll wait until morning before attacking? No. Even you should know that, you cunning man. Nobunaga started to laugh. Did you want to take the blame before Yukimura started to oppose me? Hanbei didn't say a word. He just lowered his head. I grabbed Yukimura's hand and held it tightly. Yukimura looked mortified. He glared and Hanbei and Nobunaga. But Nobunaga paid no mind to Yukimura and turned to Masamune. Masamune, come hither. Assemble your troops. We're going outside. Yes, my lord. The two of them went towards the door. Wait a moment. Suddenly, we heard a voice come out of nowhere. Without making a sound, a man appeared from out of the ground. Who goes there? Masamune stood in front of Nobunaga. What's this? No warm reception? I did send a message preceding my arrival. The man shrugged his shoulders and smirked. He then got on his knees and lowered his head. I am Fuma Kotaro. My former master has died, and I came seeking a new one to follow. I received a favorable reply and was in high spirits. I made haste to visit you today. Or did you change your mind, Master Nobunaga? I was surprised by his arrogant behavior. His words were polite. He even bowed, but he was sarcastic. He was hiding his smile. It was like he was taking pleasure from the odd situation. For a moment, Nobunaga stroked his chin in thought. He finally nodded. Oh, that's right. I did receive your letter. We have met face to face before, haven't we? It is as you say. Although I didn't think you would actually come here. What does that mean? There was another meaning behind Nobunaga's words. Yukimura and Masamune didn't understand. Masamune. Only Hanbei stood there with an unchanged expression. It left an impression on me. Now then, Kotaro, was it? I'm sure you have a good reason for stopping me, don't you? Of course. Kotaro nodded. The enemy has gathered in front of the main gate. They are destroying it now. There are roughly 1,000 of them. 1,000? I almost shouted. I didn't know how many soldiers were still in the castle. No, even if they were uninjured, 1,000 demons were too much for them. It looked like my fantasy was going to end here. When I bit my lip in defeat, Nobunaga spoke in his usual voice. Continue. Continue what? You stopped me just to tell me that. Did you not come here to show me how stealthy you are? Kotaro grinned. Indeed, I have found the leader of the demons. I see. Nobunaga's eyes became sharp. Without turning his head, he spoke. Hanbei. The individual demons aren't intelligent. If we take out their leader, the rest should run away. Can you hold them off? Yes. Do you have a plan? Yes, my lord. However, I need Sir Fuma to do his part. Hanbei spoke frankly. Kotaro arrogantly snorted and stood up. I, Fuma Kotaro, promise that my 8 subordinates and I will do our best. Jeez. Hanbei and I have to hold down the fort while the commander himself goes out. When did father become so reckless? As I faintly listened to Yukimura complain, I walked to my room. Saya, what's wrong? Huh? Why the long face? Does your wound hurt? No. I put my hands on my chest. The cut was a lot shallower than I thought. It throbbed, but it didn't hurt. I was more concerned about the 5 men who were around me. I was sure I heard about a ninja named Kataru when my father was still alive. He had decided to bring in a masterless ninja. However, I heard he was attacked by a demon on his way here and died. Did that mean that someone swapped places with him as well? Don't worry. Yukimura placed his warm hand on my shoulder. I looked up at him. He was smiling softly as he looked at me. That Katara guy seems a little creepy, but he also looks reliable. Mazamune is there too, not to mention Hanbei's plan. If anything, Father won't go down that easily. Yeah, you're right. You're really kind, Yukimura. What's up all of a sudden? Yukimura. This Yukimura must have been shy. He was blushing and turned his face away. Maybe I was dreaming when I saw the castle fall and everyone die. My memories could be all wrong too. This Yukimura was my real brother, and the dagger, the demons, and everything must have been a dream. What happened, Saya? Your kimono is ripped. Huh? There's a huge rip on the hem. You didn't notice? I looked down and was taken aback. It was ripped just like he said. It was evidence that the demon attacked me. So, it wasn't a dream. Were you climbing a tree like you used to when you were little? I swear, Saya, you're such a tomboy. Yukimura laughed, but I barely noticed it. I was in my room alone. I sat down and let out a deep breath. I didn't know who those men were. At any rate, they weren't the people they claimed to be. Where did they come from? They had false memories of being in this castle, but was that the work of that demon in my dreams? Their loved ones might still have been somewhere out there. I unintentionally put my hand on my chest as I realized the dagger was there. Actually, a frightening demon lives inside this blade. I couldn't remember his face, but those were my real father's words. The ghoul, the small demon inside my dream, told me it would grant my wish. I grabbed the dagger and spoke to it. Did you do all this? Of course. Huh? I dropped the dagger after hearing the unexpected reply. The dagger had a strange androgynous voice that came from the center of the blade. Hey, be careful with me. I've gotten brittle over these years, you know. It can't be. Are you the demon that was sealed in this dagger? It's all thanks to you for giving me your blood. It's been a while since I've been able to talk to a human. I couldn't believe what was happening before me. Nevertheless, this dagger understood human speech and was talking. More importantly, the castle was now standing, and the dead were now living. After seeing a dagger talk, nothing else could surprise me. Tell me, who are those men? You ask some strange questions. Those are the people you wished for. They're famous heroes from the previous world. I can't see why you take issue with them. What do you mean, previous world? Your former world. They came from a time of intense fighting. My former world? A different world? I didn't quite understand. In any case, you brought them here from some far-off place, right? Yep. I pulled them here with a little tug. It was like fishing. So, you overwrote their memories in exchange for mine? Yes, is as you said. I sighed without realizing it, and the dagger unknowingly laughed. There's no need to worry. I told you, right? They're great heroes. They're sure to make your wish come true. He was right. It was just like he said. This was my last wish. I was disappointed when everyone died. I didn't want to see the castle fall to ruin. I was sure that was why the dagger granted my wish in this form. However, he just involved unrelated people into our battle. Nobunaga didn't return until some time close to sunrise. I tried staying up to think about everything, but I may have slept a little bit. I came to my senses hearing the commotion in the castle. I put on my clothes and went out. Until a moment ago, almost no one was in the castle. People had come back. I stopped a maid who was walking quickly as she held a washbowl. The maid was confused and bowed down on the floor. Raise your head. Has father returned? Yes. However, he was injured a moment ago. Injured? Where is he? He is in his room. I was on my way to get hot water for him. I see. Sorry for stopping you. Be on your way. I sought out my father's room. Now Nobunaga was using it. When I came close to the door, I became even more impatient. I stood in front of the door and wondered if I should call out to him. It would sound natural if I called him father. I felt guilty for my real father, though. Father, may I come in? Princess Saya, is it? Enter. I entered and Nobunaga was sitting on his bed. There was a page behind him holding a hand towel. The hand towel was dyed red with blood. Yukimura, Hanbei, and Masamune were already inside. Your wound. It's nothing special. I tried finishing off the leader, and a small demon grazed my back. Does it hurt? Ah, feels like my back is itchy. Its claws were a little too sharp to be a back scratcher, though. What happened to the head demon? Oh, we defeated it while Kotaro distracted the demons. Splendid. Masamune was the one who finished it off. He seized them while I was preoccupied with the little demon behind me. Masamune silently bowed. Now that I thought about it, the original Masamune was the silent type as well. Then the demons. They ran away with their tails between their legs, right? Nobunaga spoke to someone off in the distance. Exactly. I didn't know where the voice that replied came from. However, I don't think this is the end of it. The voice was like a passing breeze. Yukimura raised his eyebrows. You don't think it's the end? You took out the leader, didn't you? For the time being, but if you think that was the real boss... He chuckled. He sounded like he was making fun of Yukimura. You... Yukimura tried to say something, but Hanbei shook his head and stopped him. Sofuma, why don't you think that was the true last boss? Or the true boss? That is just how I see it. I don't know how demons think, so I can't say anything for sure. It's fine, say it. It looked like their panic was a little reserved for having taken out their supreme commander. It looked like they were retreating in order to rebuild their forces. I thought so too. It didn't look like they were running for their lives. It seemed like they were planning their next assault. Everyone was deep in thought after realizing the battle hasn't finished yet. However, Yukimura broke the silence. In any case, we're safe tonight, right? Let's prepare for tomorrow and exterminate the demons. Right, guys? It was like he was trying to cheer me up. He smiled at me. Yeah, you're right. I nodded and softly touched the dagger on my chest. I still didn't know. My memories were shrouded in mist. How was I to grieve over my true loved ones? What was I to think of these men? My false father, brother, fiancé, and servant. They were summoned here on my behalf. It hurt just breathing. It felt like the dagger under my hand was chuckling. Okay, we have character select, so we have some different routes. Okay, so it looks like we can actually choose who we're gonna pair up with, possibly. Would make sense to pair up with your father or your brother. That would be a weird storyline. What's character introductions? Okay, Destiny's Princess, a war story, a love story. You are a princess during Japan's Warring States period. Loved by your people, you live a peaceful life and want for nothing. However, one day your castle is attacked by hideous demons, and just as the castle is about to fall, your wish calls 5 heroes from different worlds to your time. As the princess, it is your duty to protect your country and your people. Will you risk your life for love? Yukimura Sanada, a bold and daring general who can take on entire armies by himself. He is summoned as the main character's twin brother. Although he has feelings for you, he struggles with the blood relation between the two of you. So Game of Thrones. A brilliant tactician, Hanbei Takanaka. Takanaka? Yeah. A brilliant tactician who is cool-headed and composed and can sometimes seem cruel. He is summoned as the main character's fiancé. He is the first to sense that something is wrong with his presence in the castle and tries to prod you, the woman he is supposed to be engaged to, for information. Masamune Date, a mighty warrior who excels in physical strength, martial arts, and horseback riding. In particular, he possesses unrivaled command of the bow and arrow. He is summoned as the most skilled and revered commander of the main character's country. His easygoing nature lets you rely on him like an older brother. As he was the leader of a country in his own time, he feels a little out of place here. Kotaro Fuma. He is summoned as the ninja reinforcement, who has come to the main character's castle. Originally served a neighboring country which was devastated by demons, moves like a shadow and possesses nearly inhuman techniques. Somewhat of a loner and dislikes groups. He dislikes being held back by rules imposing on him by others and lives a free and unrestrained life. And Nobunaga Oda, an extraordinary man and providential hero of the Warring States period, also feared as the demon of the 6-7. He is summoned as the main character's father. He seems to know some things about his situation from the beginning, and speaks in riddles to try and test you. Alright, so we have choices. I'm going to minus the brother and father character, because I'm not sure how that's going to really work out. So let's go with the fiance, Hanbei Takanaka. That seems to make the most sense to me. Okay. Main volume. Oh, we can go with. Oh, volume like volumes of a book. Not volume like in sound. Tell I'm a musician in my head, and I'll never get rid of it. All right, let's look at chapter 1. I think we'll have time for it. Yeah, we'll have time for a little bit. Chapter 1, Contact. Hey, have you heard the news? Apparently demons have appeared in the village. I heard that they're on the other side of the mountain too, and that they ate 2 people. It's just terrible. It's all people who've been talking about since the spring festival. Just what is happening to our country? Demons appeared. It was the beginning of spring when the first whispers of that rumor were heard. And just a few short months later, the demons had destroyed the village and laid waste to the entire country. Most citizens had died, and the few survivors had barely escaped with their lives to foreign lands. Now demons run rampant through the village, both day and night. Before long, all that remained was this castle. No help arrived from foreign countries. The last hope resided in the 5 men summoned by the dagger. The fate of the entire country rested in their hands. Yeah, I don't know what that is. After Nobunaga's return, I woke in the morning, having barely slept. I had considered resting in my room, but I couldn't do anything to cheer myself up. Not wanting to disturb a maid so soon past dawn, I combed my own hair. The comb had a golden lacquer design of the daisies so representative of the current season. Now that I think about it, I haven't had a chance to see the flowers lately. It was just about the time the daisies in one corner of the courtyard should be in bloom. Maybe I'll go see them now. I'd survived after all. It wouldn't be a bad idea to appreciate the beauty of the flowers. I felt my mood, depressed ever since the events of the previous evening, starting to lift. I went outside and circled the veranda, still empty of the vassals who trained during the day. As I started to go out into the courtyard, I noticed someone else was there already. Oh. Takanaka Hanbei, the man who is now my fiancé. Even though, in fact, I had only met him the night before. Speak to him. I had to stop thinking like that. He was my fiancé now, for better or worse, so I had to at least try to be friendly. I steeled my nerve and opened my mouth to speak, but no words came out. It was because I had noticed the odd way Hanbei was staring at the flowers. His gaze was severe and filled with anger. He most certainly was not enjoying them. Wait, that was fast. He stared at the flowers for quite a while, but then, all of a sudden, he unsheathed his sword and slashed down all the flowers. What are you doing? Without thinking, I raised my voice in surprise. The sword still in his hand, Hanbei slowly turned to face me. Oh, princess, how long have you been there? What do you think you're doing? Those flowers were a very important... Important? I couldn't think of the word that came next. They were important to me and had a lot of memories. I had that feeling, but I couldn't remember a single concrete detail. All my memories are gone. I guess I'll bite my lip. I don't remember anything. I hated not being able to say anything back to what I just witnessed. Hanbei stared at me, but then suddenly curled his lips into a smile. As he resheathed his sword, he climbed onto the porch. There's no need for flowers during times of war. I cut them down because I plan to put a target there for practice. But, not to mention there's no reason to scold me if you don't even know what significance they have. Then Hanbei left. Feeling his departing presence at my back, I bit my lip. I didn't like that man. He seemed nice enough at first, but he was actually cold and scary. In front of me lay the cruelly scattered daisy blossoms. It's so sad. As I looked at the pretty white flowers cut off at the neck, my eyes teared up. They were important flowers, very important flowers. But no matter what, I couldn't seem to remember why. I remember the maids and the vassals, names and faces, and maybe even how long they'd served here. The memories that were weak were those concerning the 5 people who'd been switched places. And in that case, those daisies might have had something to do with one of those people. I hated not being able to remember. I sighed and then gathered up the flowers and got to my feet. If things hadn't turned out like this, about this time next month, as I unconsciously spoke the words, a thought occurred to me. Next month, I was supposed to be getting married to the man who'd been my fiancé, but I clearly remembered that, before we'd been able to do so, that man had died from illness. Even had the demons not been there, we wouldn't have been able to be together. But now he isn't dead. With Hanbei here, that was how everyone else must perceive it. And in that case, did that mean I would have to marry him? Would the day come when I would have to give my body to him as well? When I thought about that, I shuddered, I think. Wouldn't I shudder? It's not the person that I know. I shuddered. It wasn't unheard of to marry someone who was largely a stranger, but to get married under these strange circumstances. Hey, it's you, Saya. What are you up to so early? Yukimura. Behind Yukimura was Mazumune, too, carrying a wooden sword. Though they'd all been summoned to help me, these two were completely different from Hanbei. The air of familiarity about them carried a very different impression. Whoa, what happened here? Yukimura stared wide-eyed at the flower stems littering the ground behind me. Actually, Hanbei... I started to speak, but then stopped. What about Hanbei? Nothing. Never mind. With the daisy blossoms in my arms, I went up onto the veranda. Hey, Saya! Not feeling like answering, I made a quick escape from my room. Inside my room, one of the surviving handmaids was waiting for me. Oh, Princess. Where were you out so early in the morning? Have your wounds... At that point, the handmaid's eyes stopped on the daisies in my arms. Oh, what lovely daisies. Will you help me find a vase for them? Did you pick them outside? Yeah, something like that. It was too hard to say that Hanbei had cut them all down. I love daisies. They remind me of the time they were planted. The maid smiled as she took the flowers from me. That was a nice time. With a nostalgic expression, the handmaid left the room smiling. Perhaps I should have asked just what had happened when the daisies were planted. But somehow I hesitated. I was afraid of being thought suspicious for not being able to remember. Now that I notice it, this comb has a daisy pattern on it too. I looked at the comb placed in front of the mirror. It was my favorite one. Because daisies are flowers of remembrance. Huh? For just a split second, I remembered a time when someone said that. I tried to remember who, but it was in vain. Later that afternoon, Hanbei visited my room. I apologized for my rudeness this morning. It was like the man sitting politely before me, smiling, now was a completely different man. Why did you do that? It's like I said, I intend to place a target there. However, I shouldn't have done such a thing without ever consulting you. Especially since they're the flowers we planted together. Hanbei's gaze was on the pot holding the arranged daisies behind me. Really? Were those daisies connected to my memory of my fiancé? This man had my fiancé's memories, and I couldn't remember my fiancé. If he said so, it must be true, but... Why was he looking at me like that? His eyes seemed to be searching my soul. So, you came here to apologize for the flowers? No, I also came to discuss something of importance. Hanbei sat up straighter and lowered his head. Princess, I would like to speak to you about our previous agreement to be married. I would like to annul the arrangement. Those were the last words I expected to hear. Annul? You mean cancel the engagement? Hanbei nodded silently. Yes, thinking that would be best. I have already run it past Nobunaga as well. The handsome man before me spoke the news without one flinch or expression of emotion. This was, for me, wonderful news. It had repulsed me to consider marrying someone who was mostly a stranger. But, may I ask the reason why? We are in the middle of a war. It would not be suitable to hold a wedding in such times. Is that all? Yes, that's the only reason. Hanbei then relaxed into a smile. Am I wrong in presuming that such a course of action is favorable for you too? I flinched, startled. Why do you say that? Last night, when you were hurt, I was deeply worried about you. I rued that something had happened to my dear princess and that I hadn't been there for you. So, when you woke up, I was incredibly relieved. The smile on his lips then disappeared. But you looked at me as if you'd never seen me before. So I wondered if your affection towards me might have changed. Hanbei grinned as if joking, but his eyes were still as solemn and searching as before. He'd noticed. It was true. That time had been the first time I'd laid eyes on him. He was sharp. He was the one summoned to replace my tactician fiancé, after all. It wasn't surprising that Hanbei was at least as, if not even more, clever than he. First things first, I had to... let's tell the truth. Not really a fan of lying in the story, huh? I answered truthfully. Yes, it's true. I was not entirely enthused about our wedding. Oh? And why is that, if I might ask? Well, recently, it's felt like you've changed somehow. Hanbei smiled bitterly. That's interesting. I haven't been able to shake the feeling that I'd changed either. That was understandable, seeing as how he genuinely switched lives with a different person. It wasn't surprising that he felt some conflict between his memories and his true self. You're very honest. Hearing it plainly from you makes that even easier to bear. I'm very sorry. Don't be. It isn't your fault. I'm sure it's obvious to someone as intelligent as you. But even so, I don't feel that a celebration such as a wedding would be appropriate now either. I'm very grateful for your thoughtfulness. Not at all. I'm sorry for bringing this up out of the blue. We can revisit this issue again once the demons are vanquished and the country is at peace. Of course. The two of us exchanged a smile. It felt like both of us were putting on a show, trying to outfox the other. In my heart, I let out a weary sigh. Well, I must be going. There's a council of war about to be held soon. That's fine. I appreciate you taking the time to see me. I know you must be busy. As I stood up to walk him to the door, Hanbei, out of his way, stopped. That comb's design is the same as the flowers from the courtyard. His eyes were on the comb with the gold lacquer daisy pattern. Yes, it is. I can see you like daisies. That makes me happy, being the one who planted them for you. By the way, where'd you get the comb? Why do you ask? The workmanship is exquisite. I'd like to have something made by the same artist. I didn't remember. When had I gotten that comb, and from whom? No matter how hard I tried, I got nowhere. I knew that I treasured it, but why? That was it. Let's say we don't remember. I don't remember. I answered honestly. With Hanbei, any slip of the tongue would mean almost certain defeat. Oh, really? Hanbei's eyes narrowed into slits as he smiled. Looking closer, I think it was a gift from me. It's unfortunate that you can't remember. I finally realized he'd been testing me. I should have thought through it more carefully. The reason I couldn't remember meant there was a connection with one of the five switched men. I wish I had realized that earlier. Since you insisted on teasing me, I was just teasing you back. I tried to make an excuse, but I could tell that Hanbei didn't believe me for a minute. I never meant to tease you. I only asked because, with the lighting in here, it looked like a different comb. I'm sorry. No, it's fine. Well, I guess I'll be off. See you later. With that, Hanbei left my room. I immediately felt my legs go weak. I'm so tired. He truly was a frightening man. Going head-to-head with the general of an entire army was exhausting. But then again, my fiancé had also been a general. I didn't remember feeling so with him. It must not have been army generals, but Hanbei himself, who was a tiring man to interact with. After he left, the dagger at my chest started clattering around. Yeah. Don't screech like that. What's so funny? That guy, Takakana Banhei? Takehahe Nabe? Takanaka Hanbei. Yeah, that Ketahana Kanbei. He's definitely onto you. It's Takanaka Han... oh, whatever. What do you mean onto me? I mean, he's onto your little trick. As hard it was to believe, there was part of me that thought it might be so. Of course it was unthinkable that he could have figured everything out. But surely the reason he probed me with questions was because he'd noticed something odd. Which means your own skill is far from perfect. Don't be silly. What do you expect from the skill of a mere demon? A mere little demon. In reality, I was the one in the middle of a very precarious situation. Men who had once been dead were alive again, as totally different men than before. No one at the castle seemed to notice anything wrong, but how long would that last? Anyway, you better be careful, princess. That is one dangerous man. Alright, why don't we stop it there? This is audap. You've been watching Destiny's Princess, a war story, love story, on Nintendo Switch. I mean, so far, it's kind of cool. I like the writing, and, you know, for those, you know, familiar with the periods, it might be comforting to see these characters, you know, kind of done in a different way. I think there's some good potential here, and I'll probably end up playing through most of the storylines. People are interested. I know so far the art's really good, the sound's really good, if somewhat loud, and imagine that there would be some pretty good plot twists in here. Now, I do like the fact that there are very specific routes. They don't have to share a common route that you have to skip your way through. So that's kind of cool that you can just pick one and just go with it. And then it looks like there's many choices in between, which I'm sure I'll get many wrong. Anyway, if you want to check this game out for yourself, check it out. It's on the Nintendo eShop, amongst other platforms as well. But we'll play this over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully it'll be an interesting time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I will see you at the next stream.